Our Darson focus on Shapes for Living is about how we each nurture and shape our lives as followers of Jesus Christ, seeking to be faithful and fruitful amid the challenges and joys of our lives, the lives of our communities and the wider world. It's about how we go on becoming as we discover and share life in all its fullness. Before watching this film, do watch the 5-minute introductory film which sets the scene for each of the sessions. And do use this short film alongside the main course booklet. And you might want to note that there are resources for families to use at home, and all Church of England schools in the diocese have been sent a resource pack. This session is about looking at our lives through the work-shaped window. The booklet and resources are designed to help you identify what you want to celebrate and sustain, and what you might like to reshape, perhaps through reducing or increasing something, or simply by changing an angle of perspective. So, work. Well, our lives involve work. It was part of God's creation, and it's part of being human and being created in God's image. In the creation narratives, in the 2nd chapter of the book of Genesis, when all is good, God places Adam in the Garden of Eden to till it and keep it. Our work happens in different places, including our homes and neighbourhoods. For some people, when they hear the word work, they think of something of the past, perhaps something which was a key part of shaping who they are now. Work comes in many different forms: paid, unpaid, life-giving, life-draining, welcome and unwelcome, something we consider fulfilling or diminishing. It may be you are currently longing for paid employment, or perhaps you feel unvalued in the work you undertake, wherever that is. Bring all of that to this session. Work-life balance is a frequently heard phrase, but the reality is that work is all part of life. And looking at the shape of our lives through the window of work inevitably means looking also at the shape of play in our lives. This is about the rhythm of work and play in our lives each day, each week, each month and year. You won't be surprised to hear that play is the window we'll be looking through in our next session. But for now, let's keep looking through the window labelled work. I'm keen to encourage each of us to dig deep and look at the deep places within us as we ask the question about what our work feeds and nourishes in us and those around us, and how our work does or does not promote dignity of people and place. We looked last week at the shape of prayer in our lives. It might be good to look at how your work is or could be prayer. How can we work to the glory of God and offer our work to God even when our work seems unfulfilling or unwelcome? This theme of work also offers a good opportunity to reflect on what drives you and motivates you in the work you undertake. In the first session, we looked at our lives through the window of relating. I reflected on the fact that sometimes what drives us is a need to be needed, or a desire to be successful, or to have significance, or be enough. This can be true too of our work. Once again, the starting place for our flourishing in work is God. A psalm which has spoken to me again and again over many years is Psalm 127. It begins with the words, "Unless the Lord builds the house, the builders labour in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the guards stand watch in vain. In vain you rise early and stay up late, toiling for food to eat, for he grants sleep to those he loves." How might the shape of our work enable us to open our hands and hearts to receive the love of God, so that our work is rooted in our identity as a child of God? As you continue with this course on Shapes for Living, do you continue to listen carefully to those destructive drivers of must and should and ought? And be attentive to the love, mercy and grace of God, which will indeed invite a response, a change, perhaps new discipline and fresh choices, but which always begins with the love of God, who first loved us. Last week, as I reflected on the shape of prayer in our lives, I mentioned Luke's account of Jesus in the home of Mary and Martha. Mary knew the one thing. It was not that labour was not valued by Jesus, but rather it was about understanding the present moment. There were indeed domestic tasks to be done, as always, but the immediate moment was to sit at Jesus' feet and learn from him. So as we look at the place of work in the shape of our lives, it's an opportunity to look at the when of our work. Not only in terms of number of hours, but also the timing of our work over a day, a week, a month and a year. St. Benedict, in his rule of life for his monks in the 6th century, wrote about a rhythm of manual labour for the brothers in the monastery. Interestingly, his instruction reflects a different shape of manual labour over the seasons as monastic life responded to the light and environment of each season. So let me draw to a close. As you continue this adventure of shaping and reshaping, do dare to be honest and share with other people. In this session, there may be important questions to be asked and discussed in your worshipping communities. For example, our worship together sends us out to continue to be the church among the people and places of our lives. How is your work, paid or unpaid? How is that work recognised, enabled and prayed for within worship? And how do you recognise, enable and pray for the work of others in your worshipping community? Is there something in your worship together which needs reshaping? Do enjoy exploring this together and as individuals.